back. Another a dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, puke. Well, it's been a minute, hasn't it? Thank God. I don't even want to be here now. It's okay. It's all right. Sometimes you have the obligations, as I mention all the time. All the time. Actually, you know, it's funny about this movie we're about to discuss. I just had, well, there's no Mr. Miyagi in this one, but I just had my own Mr. Miyagi moment before I rolled tape on this one. I should have rolled tape, 20-minute tape. Do they still even use that? No, they don't. Am I even using that? No, I'm not. Fucking grandpa. I had a Mr. Miyagi moment, and by that I mean I had to kill a fly with chopsticks. Because there was one lone fly in here, sat down. First, it gave me a flyby, and I was just like, as long as I hear that sound in the studio, I can't do it. I can't because I'm OCD, because I'm a piece of garbage. And I didn't really do it with chopsticks. It took me 47 tries with a wound-up towel to finally get it. And then I sit down. I'm like, all right, here we're gonna, you got a little time in between class. You can throw some shit down. There's another fly somewhere in here. There was two. I got one, and then there's another one. But I just, I guess we're turning over a new leaf. All life is precious. All life is precious. Oh, gang. This is the bane of my existence. I can't watch any. I shouldn't say that. I straight up for almost a month was like, I'm not touching the fucking show. When I get some free time, I'm gonna watch the shit that I want to watch. not that this doesn't fall into that. I am very much a completionist. And what is this? The 6th or 7th installment of it? Well, let's hear. We got Ip Man 1, 2, 3, 4 with Donnie Yen. We have The Legend is Born with, I think, Donnie Toe. Or I'm sorry, Danny Toe. Shit, I don't know. But The Legend is Born. And then you have Ip Man, The Final Fight. What does that put us at? 6. So yeah, if this is Ip Man, The Awakening, this would be the 7th. And there's also TV shows and whatnot. But the completionist in me, you gotta watch it. Well, we'll get into it here in a second. Well Go USA presents Ip Man the Awakening. Ip Man the Awakening, which is also available to stream, I believe, on Prime Video and Hiya TV. Which I believe this was a Hiya original. Trying to string together trying to put together a collection of martial arts films for us connoisseurs. Are we still digging movies, gang? Are we still digging movies? I'm going back and forth. I think the last time we talked, I was very distraught at the longevity of movies. Now I think everything's secular and secular. It's one of those. I think movies will come back around, like in terms of like outside of like Marvel, big budget stuff. I think, people start venturing out again. Right now, I think not me by any means, but I think y'all, and this is fine. This is fine. Listen, Grandpa Sean says this is fine. You've convinced yourself that you don't have a lot of time, so you spend your time watching short form media, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, whatever, and that's fine. However you're entertained, whatever. But I think the last time we talked, a little over a month ago? Well, I think I post-dated the show, so it's been about a month and a half since I sat down on the microphone. If you can't tell, it's just like riding a bike. I haven't done it in a while, and it sounds like it. I don't know why you're tuning in. It's the worst show on the history of the planet. Anyway, I think it'll come back around. I don't think that time's yet. But in the interim, since we last spoke, I don't want to say my faith is restored. That's because I'm too fucking jaded and hate everything. So to fully restore my faith, whatever. But I've had a lot of people. If you are a first listener or you're a new listener, first time listener, or first time caller, long time listener, if you're one of those, You know that I rent out theaters and show films that one may, you know, not necessarily seek out on their own. And I've, for whatever reason, in this past month and a half or so, I've gotten more feedback about that than I usually do. I mean, most of the time when it goes down, everybody's super appreciative and they have a good time and everything like that. But I've had numerous people in person and via DM that are just like, hey, man, I just want to tell you, like, I love kind of like this old-fashioned get-together. Now, you know, it's a double-edged sword because on the one hand, old-fashioned makes me feel like a fucking grandpa, but, like, what's new fashion? You know, because, like, grandpa still went to fucking parties. You know, like, I would say old-fashioned isn't the way to put it, gang. I would say alternative means of spending your time. You know, I'm not saying you can't go out and get lifted as a ma and play some video games or whatever, but you know, just it's just an alternative thing to do. But what's weird is, like, most of the time I do the shit, you know, I rent out the theaters or whatever, or I do an interview, a live show or whatever, and there's feedback on the day and a couple days after, and then it just dissipates because what do we do as a culture? We just move on to the next thing because we are, you know, easily bored, which, unfortunately, I wish you guys could see that whole cultural thing that I'm talking about, it's bled into relationships and friendships and stuff. I wish y'all could see that, you know, you guys expect perfection in your everyday life or whatever, and, you know, you don't get it and you lose your fucking mind. But it has bled to where it's just like, oh, on to the next thing. Oh, you don't like me or love me at this very moment. I know that we've only known each other for a week, but at this very moment, you don't like or love me. Well, no, you got to give it time. Got to give it patience. We don't have patience anymore, which is, I mean, kind of full circle. It comes down to the movie thing. An hour and a half seems to be a lot for you guys. I don't get it. Okay. All right. Enough of that. I just wanted to say that, like, it fucks me up because, like, I'll get jaded and shit and I'll be like, fuck, nobody gives a shit about movies. Like, why am I doing this? This is so niche. And then I think about, like, the connections that I've made and the opportunities that I've been given. And then, you know, I go back and forth, and then it's just, I think I've done too many drugs. I think that's what happens, and I'm indecisive about everything. So, Ip Man The Awakening. So, who's in Ip Man The Awakening? Well, and this is another fucking case of where, I shit you not, gang, go on the internet right now, give it a goog, baby. Go on the internet right now and search Ip Man The Awakening, search Ip Man The Awakening cast, and then search Ip Man The Awakening Well Go USA. You will see 3 different forms of the cast, meaning like 3 different ways to pronounce their name, 3 different spellings of their name, the whole fucking 9, dude. And now I'm looking at the back of the Blu-ray case as it is. Different. I don't, why do we keep, I hope somebody hears me someday. Why do we keep doing this? You want to know why the rest of the world thinks we're stupid? Because we are. Like, we package this thing. I'm sitting here trying to get down and throw down, you know, like, be informative, you know, it's very nauseating when you can't distinguish between fact and fiction, you know, like, what if the guy who played Ip Man in this, you know, I've pronounced his name 3 different ways or whatever, and he's like, well, fuck that guy, like, don't ever let one of my movies be on his podcast again. And it's just like, well, no, dude. If you look at IMDb, you look at Google, you look at Well Go USA, and then you look at the back of the Blu-ray box, I'd say there's a reason why I'm confused. There's a reason why I'm confused. So, Ip Man The Awakening stars Miao, Hu Qilong, Chen Guanying, Zhao Yuxuan, take a drink, Bayin, Guang, Huang Siyu, Andi, Tian, Tian. Keep drinking. Special appearances by Hao Tongjiang. What else we got here? Stunt coordinator, which actually wasn't half bad on this, but a lot of, you got to attribute a lot of it to the editing in this, and we'll get to that in a moment, because Your boy's seen too much. Stunt coordinator Kong Chiang Wang. And the reason why I say that is, like, I think people have finally gotten hip onto hip to on how to sell a fight sequence. Problem is that if you get lazy, all those quick cuts aren't going to fucking save you. We'll get there. DP, director of photography, Wu. Oh boy. Guichuan. Wu Guichuan. Shit. Anyway, written by Fang Lan, Lu Bayin, and directed by Li Xijie, and Zhang Zhulin. Wow, that was brutal. That was fucking brutal. But, you know, actually, the funny thing about IMDb, what I give you, like, close to 10 names right there? You go to IMDb, 4 names. 4 fucking names. What are you doing? What are you fucking doing, man? I'll take it a step further. The only thing, so this is the Internet Movie Database, which would imply that everything I needed to know about the film was right there because it's a database. And I can assure you it is not. There's no cinematographer. There's no editor. They don't even have the writers. They just have directed by and 4 members of the cast. That's it. Now, if you go to just like the Google Ip Man Awakening cast, well, we have, and this is where the pronunciation and how to say their name properly just falls apart. We got Siyu. And I don't know if this is last or first because you look on the fucking back of the Blu-ray case and it contradicts everything. So Tang Chiang Hao, Huo Qilong, Chen Guanying, Zhao Yuxuan, Bayin, Zhao Guang, Huang Siyu. Yeah. So is it Siyu Huang? Are all of those fucking reversed? Well, I don't know. I don't fucking know. Anyway, Ip Man 6. When visiting Hong Kong, a young master intervenes in a kidnapping attempt, unintentionally, of course, igniting a turf war with a ruthless human trafficking ring. And it's ran by the whites. The whites, well, they have some Chinese connection, but the villains in this story are the whites. We are villains, no doubt about it. A ruthless human trafficking ring. In retaliation, the gang kidnaps one of Yip Man's close friends, leaving him with no choice but to challenge the group's notoriously brutal boxing champion head on. Oh boy. We'll get into so just talking a little bit about the plot here. You know, we start out in a prison camp. Of course, the weak are being oppressed by the whites. And then the deal with some whites and some dirty Chinese, so they're bad people, goes awry, and because some of the cargo, as it were, some of the humans have been dying. Well, a fight breaks out with a lot of smash cuts. So right from the gate, you see this form of editing that I swear Edgar Wright made popular and now just everybody uses, and it's just like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Calm down, everybody. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just it's just like anything else in this world. You can do too much of something, you know. No matter what you did, you know you can drink too much water? Like that's bad for you? I didn't know that. I did know that, but my point is that like, making a film, no different. If you have smash cuts every fucking time you have a fight sequence and your movie is only 82 minutes long, listen, you may be able to pull the veil over some novice's eyes, but for someone like me, I go, oh. So every time we get to a point where we could string a shot together, different than a cut, right? String a shot together, we cut to make the movie move faster. And I get it. We go back to the opening monologue. I get it. We need something new. We need something new every 5-10 seconds or whatever. Side note, I decided I needed to start putting my money where my mouth is, so I deleted all my personal fucking social media. Yeah, that's right. Because I always talk about it and about how bad it is for your brain, and or just how much of a waste of time it is. And we all know this. We just choose to ignore it. But like the thing that I noticed in my life where it was having an impact is kind of how you handle the emotions from the day to day. Very quick to if life's not all wine and roses, you're very quick to have a knee-jerk reaction to things. And for me, I'm theatrically, wound up tight. Theatrically, I say that again. I'm theatrically wound up tight, but in real life, I'm not. Like I'm about as chill could be. Most things I don't give a shit about because I don't believe in anything. But the point is I was noticing the brain chemistry change. So I was just like, it's time to go, and I'm sure I'll get back on eventually. But when, you work full time, you have this stupid ass podcast and you're going to school for something that's not particularly easy, it was just time. It was time to step away. Now, what I'm hoping is that like I can continue that, because in the short amount of time, we're pushing like 3 weeks now, in the short amount of time that I've done that, I have already noticed my attention span being able to hold longer, okay? And again, like it's all preference on how you live your life, but to tie it back into the smash cuts, I was much more in tuned to just how obvious it was. And because, again, whether I've done too much drugs or, trying to see this deeper side of things, I get really nervous about, so we were talking about the movies coming back around and being popular again, shit outside of Marvel and whatnot. To do that, I hope we don't start following this trend where, for an action piece especially, if we just keep the story, or I don't even want to say story, if we just keep the pace of something moving as fast as we can, people won't know that we made a mediocre movie. And that's kind of how I felt in this one, and for reasons not only that have to do with what I was just saying, but also fear of being original. Now, I know, because this is a double-edged sword for me, because I don't believe that most things are original. I think that we've been, as artists, we steal stuff, for hundreds of years, which is fine. Like, I worry about the, I don't necessarily come down too hard on the whole originality thing, but when you are, what it felt like to me, and please DM me for people that have seen the franchise, especially Ip Man 1, did we not kind of steal a whole bunch? Like, and here's the thing, I don't mind. Listen, I do not mind that the good guy has to fight the bad guy. So that whole, like, boxing match with the whites, I forget what the fucking discipline is called. It's like Baritsu or something. Baritisu? I don't remember, but it's founded in the UK. I don't mind that Master Ip has to fight the main boss at the end. I don't fucking mind. However, when it is set up almost to a T, albeit not as good as the first installment of the Ip Man. What the hell are we doing? This is your time to shine. This is your time where you, as a filmmaker, forget about the story that you're telling. This is your time. This is your time to shine as a filmmaker. What separates you from, other people in your field? And Wilson Yip, who did 1 through 4, I think it's Wilson Yip, who did 1 through 4. Well, yeah, he gave you the blueprint, but going back to what I said, if you're going to stand on the shoulders of giants, as it were, the people who were the originators, talking about being original again, original story, original execution, that sort of thing. I almost feel like it's your duty to change it up to, okay, so this is the setup. If fucking Master Ip is fighting a boxing guy, all right, it's outside. All right, it's on almost a planks of wood, out in City Square. I don't mind all of that, but your execution cannot teeter on the same shit that we saw in the first Ip Man. I was sitting there watching it, gang, and I was dumbfounded that, I had this actual thought. So, first and foremost, this movie isn't terrible. If you're a fan of the Ip Man franchise, yes, there's parts that you're going to groan, but when the action, you're here for the action, right? Because if we're talking complete story, probably 1 and 4 were better at telling a complete story. Don't get me wrong, 2 and 3 are awesome. I think the first 4 are amongst some of the best martial art action sequence that you'll ever see. So I understand that we're not here to have a story told to us if we're seeing Ip Man: The Awakening. I get that. But because how is it that we have all these tools, and by all these tools I mean one tool, we have Google, right? All the information at your fingertips, and we're somehow getting dumber. I don't understand, because for fans of the franchise, you are going to alienate them by the visual representation for a couple of these fight sequences, and you didn't deliver them like you could have. For instance, one of a fight sequence that happens in Act 3 takes place on the stairs. Wow, we had some potential. We had some real potential to make that sequence really good. And it was short. We did, I guess for lack of better terms, 3-hit cut. 3-hit cut. So what I'm saying is you'll see our hero or our villain, 3 choreographed movements, cut. 3 choreographed movements, cut. 2 choreographed movements, cut. And I think the beauty of what you see in the Donnie Yen franchise is letting some of these takes go for a little while, letting some of these shots go for a little while. And I almost felt like we just... I hate to say it, but to a certain degree, I almost feel like if... So Donnie Yen's Ip Man is like McDonald's, and then Ip Man: The Awakening, and this is no shade thrown at the cast or anything. Ip Man: The Awakening is like if your mom made McDonald's at home. Like that's what it felt like to me, where I'm sitting there and I'm like, we have a real opportunity to make this cool, and to a certain degree we did, okay? Like I think there early on there's a sequence that takes place on a bus, although it's kind of shoehorned in, because we go from this, talk about this sequence real quick. I didn't like the light moments in this film. So the light moments were like super over the top, and like sometimes when the score kicked in, it was whimsical. Like there's this scene where Master Ip and a couple of his buddies are riding through the city on bicycles, and again, like as I'm saying this, I'm remembering that there's one sequence that shoehorned in there, but everything that takes place before and after the shoehorn moment is just silly. Like it felt like if China made a Hallmark movie about Ip Man, that's what the movie felt like when we weren't showing fighting scenes. Like it was just, I mean, you be the judge, and I'm open for interpretation, gang. If you want to write me and be like, you're wrong, this is one of the best in the franchise, well, I would fight that one until my dying day. Don't bother DMing me that one. But if you're like, hey, this is a lot better than how you sound, even though I've already said 2 or 3 times throughout this podcast, it's not a bad movie. It's just a bad Ip Man movie, and that's not shitting on Miao, who plays Ip Man. I thought he did a good job, but again, Like, the sequences where Donnie Yen is pulling off a very good, dramatic execution of his character, in some ways, this felt like Lifetime Channel Hallmark when we were seeing Miao do the same. And I don't blame him. I know enough about movies, the script, the direction. Like, I know enough. So I'm sure if I were to ask him or if he'd be on the show, he was like, dude, I got to play Ip Man. Like, what I'm going to say no? And I'm like, fair enough. You're right. You have to. If you get offered that role, you have to play that role. I get it. I just don't understand if you're going to have sequences where blood is spilled, blood is sprayed even, how you can have the light moments be so fucking light mixed with the score so fucking whimsical. But what I'm learning about the scores coming out of China, they use a lot of stock score, which is just weird to me. Like, and I get, okay, so it's a money thing. Like, you don't want to pay a composer. Okay, I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but like, that's strange, don't you think, gang? That you have like you just have a database that you go to and you're like, oh, this track will work, but it's all owned by like the same company. That's fucking weird to me, because then I think you take one of my favorite and most crucial elements out of the piece, which is the score. Let your composer, okay, interpret how he feels by what he's seeing. You know, I'm not going to mention the heavy hitters. Okay, I will. Hans Zimmer, prime example. Oh, Hans Zimmer stuff sounds a lot of the same. No, it doesn't. But let's just say I agree with you. But it's very unique to him. Okay, you watch enough of these kind of just is fastly packed in a package action films that are coming out of the East, and you're kind of like, we're losing some personal touch to it all. And you know, there is an equal laundry list of bad things as there are good things in this film. Like I said, I didn't hate it. I wasn't mad that I watched it. Like, you'll know when I'm mad that I watched something. If you dig through my catalog of episodes, you know when I'm not having a good time. So, but anyway, this is available now on Hiya. It's a Hiya original. I believe you can get the physical. Actually, I know for a fact you can get the physical copy now through WellGo USA, and I love WellGo USA. So I mean, on the one hand, is physical media dying, which is why we're having fucking Hiya. Take over kind of like streaming capabilities for WellGo USA releases. Yeah, but like, I implore you guys, just do an experiment for your boy. Buy a hard copy of a movie that you really like, preferably something that is big, okay? Big in scale, Blade Runner, fucking Star Wars, whatever you want to do. Watch it on your streaming service first, okay? The Star Wars is a prime example. Go to Disney Plus, watch fucking Empire Strikes Back or something, and then pull out the hard copy, 4K, whatever the fuck, and play it. If you can't tell a distinct difference, I don't want to know you. I don't want to know you. And I know there's bigger things to worry about in this life. I got it. But don't you see that it impacts how you receive the film? Don't you see? Can you see? I got the hiccups now. Probably a good time to fucking end the show. Anyway, yeah, I know, gang, that it's getting fewer and farther in between shows. I've done right by you guys thus far. Even though somebody the other day was like, you want to know why I don't listen to your show often? Because I don't know what fucking movies you're talking about. I've never heard of them. Isn't that the fucking idea? Ellis Cinema, WellGo USA, Ip Man, The Awakening, available now. WellGo USA, Hiya Original. I tell you what, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. Besides breaking hearts.